ladies and gentlemen. He's the only back-to-back winner of the Hilton Super Contest. Usually on with the great Patrick Maher and Dustin Sweetelson on Sharp Money. We're just borrowing him for a couple weeks. Steve Fezzik, everybody, at Fezzik Sports on Twitter. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I got a business meeting with Kelley right after the show, so we're excited about that.
There's another caper, I like to call them. Caper 2 is happening. But you're excited about that. Did Kelley perform very well in caper number 1?
No.
No.
He's got opportunities for improvement.
Oh, wow.
That's why it's my fault. I didn't actively engage him enough, so I take full responsibility.
Okay.
It's my fault.
Let's start with, we have much to talk about. Can we start with, let's see what happened right after that. Fezzik said something. It was a little critical, and after he stopped talking, he just made eye contact just to nod at him, just to make sure everything was okay.
That's right.
That's what happened
We all
there.
good.
Look, he's still staring him down.
My assessment, Kelley, you think my assessment accurate?
That was fair. Yeah, that was fair.
I was not involved. It's my fault.
We also learned some things from last time.
I love this so much because I know the both of you, and I know how Steve's brain works, and I know how your brain works, and it is just an accident waiting to happen. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. Okay, Bet Bash. Last week you were kind enough to come on here. Elihu Foistel was there. He has a brand new book. I noticed that you walked in here with a book that I have never heard of.
This is the secret book.
This is my secret sushi spot, but in a sports book.
It is. So this is Think Like a Pro, Logan Fields, 2020 Betting to Win Sports Betting. Let me see. Sports Betting, Think Like a Pro. And in my opinion, if there was one book that you need to get that will show you how to actually win. Now, Elihu is spectacular. And if you want to study the Poisson distribution and you want standard deviations and you want to be able to take your winning sports game to the next level, talk to Elihu. But if you're just a common man and you want to win betting sports, Logan Fields is your man.
By Poisson, Steve means Poisson. But yes, so 2020, I thought it meant just perfect vision, but he wrote this in 2020.
I was going to ask that.
During the pandemic, which is why probably I've never heard of it, because I don't know if you know this, but we all went to our separate corners. 2020 Sports Betting by Logan Fields is his name?
Yes.
Logan Fields, okay. Can Amazon probably has them?
I'm sure. It's a gambler's.
I'd love to read that.
Bookshop, and bottom line is one of my favorite chapters. He talks about he's a golf specialist.
Wow.
And he talks about like John Daly was the gift that kept on giving. Whenever there'd be a tournament in Las Vegas, he would be like, oh, if by some miracle Daly does well on Thursday, he will fade because he's going to be out all night, gambling in the different casinos. He talks about under-the-radar injuries, how there was value betting the field. Like in tennis, you never bet the field. The field never wins.
Right.
In golf, the field wins all the time because all these guys are within a stroke and a half as good, as the best guys. But my favorite, he's spent tens of thousands of dollars on the Doral Open. He goes to it in person. Kelley. He sees what's this $10 hot dog, but what's this $10 hamburger, but there's a $6.50 hot dog special where you get chips and a Coke, and they give him the 20-ounce Coke. So think about the way this man is programmed.
Why do they need a Kelley?
This guy is your god. You love this.
This guy won $20,000 betting that tournament, but he saved like $8 in EV on his hot dog special.
Literally replace Logan Fields with the name Steve Fezzik.
That's the real stuff right there. Not the 20 grand.
Did you purposely do this for page 136, or are you just aggressive reader?
Page 136 was the hot dog reference, where he got the Nathan's hot dog deal for $6.50.
What is just an aggressive dog ear?
He folded the page.
What do they call it?
Dog ear. Yeah. All right. We got this is from earlier in the summer.
$27 on Amazon, by the way.
$27. I'll get that.
Or $10 for your Kindle.
Because there's a lot of sports betting books, and you want to get the good ones.
Yep.
This is I actually got this from Joe Pita, our buddy, early in the summer. And I thought you had he asked this very, very honestly. It's an honest question. And you have a good answer for this. His question was this. NFL scoring has fallen so much that more points were scored in 2020, speaking of 2020, than any of the last 3 years when the season went to 17 games. You know what else has exploded the last 3 years? Going for it on fourth down. Isn't that supposed to be increasing scoring instead of punting?
Not necessarily. So it all depends where you go for it on fourth down. Let's say you're midfield, 4th and inches, all right? You desperately want the team to go for it because who cares if they make it or not? The other team's going to get the ball in midfield instead of punting, and you're on the ball. You got the ball on your 12-yard line. But where it gets dicey, you have 4th and 1 on the 18-yard line. So you're just into that red zone. Okay, it's correct to go for it. And maybe you got 4th and 2 on like the 10-yard line in the red zone. It's correct to go for it. But the problem is, although your expectation for that drive gets better in terms of the team's chance of winning,
I know it's
it does not increase the scoring because when you're going to fail half the time, and when you or almost half the time, and when you fail, it is a double bum because you lose 3 points and your opponent's not going to get the ball anymore, on the 25 or further. Your opponent's going to start on their own 15-yard line or their 12. So it is a disaster when it's a failed 4th down convert.
Makes sense. And as Drew was saying earlier, it's it's never one thing, but that's probably the biggest thing what you're talking about. But it was also very an unstable quarterback situation last year, for instance. Wasn't really a great crop. That's a great answer.
This year, Bo Nixon's going to be styling out there. He's going to be way better than Young was last year.
Oh, let's go to Will just brought this up in the last segment. This is a Dr. Bob thing, and I know you wanted to talk about this, and I've been talking about this for years, but I specifically couch it by saying when it used to be 4 preseason games, Bob had this great thing where if you lost week 1 and you were going up against a team that won week 1, the team that lost, and this makes, we're not a trend show, but this makes intuitive sense. The team that lost did really well ATS against the team that had won the previous week coming into week 2. You still do this when it's only a 3-week preseason? You still do it?
Yes. I mean, maybe it's not going to be as strong, but nevertheless. By the way, Dr. Bob, sports betting pioneer.
He doesn't like it, though. He likes legend.
That's right. He's a humble man. He doesn't like pioneer too much.
Pioneer makes him sound old, Stevie. He likes legend.
Pioneer implies you're Daniel Boone or Davy Crockett, right?
That's right.
By the way, Dr. Bob, let me check. Still not in the sports betting Hall of Fame. Okay,
this sports betting Hall of Fame thing has you riled up, doesn't it?
No, it's fine. I'm just documenting.
Okay.
So it makes sense. No one.
Keeping track.
These games don't matter, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you want to lose, but nobody wants to go 0-3 to go winless in preseason.
That's the theory,
right? And you know what? If you're 0-1, now you're like, well, that last game, I really don't want to care about it all. I really want to just keep everyone healthy, so I don't want that 0-2 black cloud over me. So let's try to win the second game. Whereas if I'm 1-0, all right, we're not going to go winless. And now we can more evaluate talent. So it just makes sense to me. I very rarely would ever fade a team that was 0-1 playing a 1-0 team.
See, I don't know that Bob does it anymore because with the 4 weeks, again, it used to be a pretty uniform structure of how teams would play it personnel-wise. With 3, everybody's kind of all over the place, so I think he backed off it a little. But I still get the theory. The theory is still that. And I would say this, too. Particularly for younger teams, right?
Exactly.
Where you want to give them the feeling of, the feeling of a win. That this would apply. It's very intuitive. Just say, you want to get a win under a belt. They want to give them the feeling of a win. So we'll see how it goes here in week 2. But you are playing it. Which games does that apply to?
So there's 5 games, and I'll rank them. So number 1, Cleveland. So Cleveland's already steamed upwards, and now they're a 3-point favorite. Also, Washington, Carolina, the Chargers, and the 49ers. Carolina would be my favorite because they were so bad last week, and they were so bad last year. You have to feel they are going to circle the wagons and try to win.
And they'd like to see some good Bryce Young play on top of that.
I'd like to just see him play.
And just see him play, let alone good. Steve Fezzik on a numbers game right here at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, coming back. Remember that documentary? Did I talk about this yesterday, Kelley, at all? The documentary that's supposed to come out about last year's Survivor contest, remember?
We started talking about
We started, and then we just went off.
Because I don't know that you, well, I heard you say those words,
no, so
that
funny.
It is coming out.
So I said, it is coming out, and I said,
I feel like you guys shot like 3 of them for like 400 hours, and none of it got used. But.
Brian Musburger says to me, he goes, it's either going to be on Netflix or on VSiN. He said... No difference there. That's what he said to me. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing. Todd Wishnev is part of it, so I'm excited to see his.
There you go. Same audience size, both those websites.
Either Netflix or VSiN. Steve Fezzik, kind enough to hang with us. we talked week 2 preseason about the Dr. Bob thing, which is if you're coming off a loss versus if your team coming off a win. Steve, if you could repeat those 5 games, because we did them real quick at the end.
Cleveland, these are the teams. So these are your bet-on teams. So the Browns, Washington, Carolina, the Chargers, and the 49ers. Now, I always have a personal bias with this trend to play the underdogs, and that, of course, would land you on Carolina and the 49ers.
Okay, Carolina and 49ers. The other 3 were Cleveland, Washington, and
the Chargers.
The Chargers, but Carolina and Washington fit your optimal. Okay.
I'm always trying to reverse engineer the Dr. Bob secret subset. Well, seems like the dogs were more, powerful.
He's the guy. Just for those who don't know what Steve is referring to, he will give you a set. From again, he has the Buckeye database. So Bob does his handicapping 2 ways. In tandem. One is his mathematical model, which is all his layers that he's put together through the years, taken in, taken out, like tried and true. And then he does what he calls, technical analysis, which is a fancy way of saying trends. And most people, and we're not a trend show, but most people, they get upset about trends. But Bob has the Buckeye database, which goes back to 1978. And some trends, nothing is black and white. Nothing is 100% on this. Some trends make intuitive sense. And when you talk about preseason from week 1 to week 2, that actually does make some sense. And so we like to highlight it. The other thing we referenced you earlier in the week about week 2 is you texted this immediately. You banged all the overs.
Yes.
Explain.
Well, 2 things going on. So I know week 2 in preseason, pre-COVID, and it should be post-COVID, is going to be higher scoring. It just makes sense. The defenses are ahead of the offenses, and oftentimes the starters don't play at all that first preseason game, or at most they play 1 series. So what's this? I wake up all groggy Monday morning, and I'm looking at the totals, and they're anywhere from 33 to 37. I'm like, it's just too low. Now, subsequently, I did the research, but I didn't have time to do the research. So I played every game over because I was busy, and I was like, the numbers are wrong. I'm just going to hammer it. And so I got down, but I went back and looked. So last year, there was the point of demarcation was 39.5. Half the games went over 39.5. Half of them went under 39.5. This is week 2 preseason. So think about this. Even with these totals having risen up, every total now is still sub 40. Every single one. They vary from 33, the Charger game, up to 39.5. Half of them went over the 39.5. Now, there were 4 that were fiddling in the middle, 36, 36, 38, 39. And there were 4 of the games, 1/4 of the games, just dead nut unders, 32 or less. So the bottom line is, even at the current numbers, with the new kickoff rules, which I personally have forecasted it's going to increase scoring, not 3 points, but by 1.5 points. I heard you talking to Drew about this. The field position is going to be significantly and help the team, receiving a kickoff. The problem with that is that even if you say it's worth an extra third of a point on that possession to get the ball in the 30 on average or close to it, and you multiply by 10 kickoffs, you say that's 3.3 points. Well, it's only worth that if you score on the drive. If you punt, it's a negative expectation because now the other team gets worse field position, so you really have to dial that back considerably from that 3.3.
Okay, so this is a nice little preseason microcosm. But once we get to the regular season, again, we talked to Drew about this earlier, how many weeks, assuming you feel like it's going that the books are not going to be up to snuff right from the beginning on this, how many weeks do you think it will take for the market to get in line with what totals ought to be?
What a great question. And I have to caveat the answer. It depends. And what does it depend on? The preseason this week and next week, because we've had a situation where almost 75% of the games went over the total week 1 preseason, under the total. We had a very low-scoring first week. If that happens again, the books are going to be very slow to catch up, all right? If we have, all heck breaks loose, which I hope it does this week, and we have a really high-scoring week 2 of preseason, you're going to see pressure on a lot of the games week 1 of the regular season, and they're going to start to get hit over immediately.
Okay, so that then begs this question. Would you rather cash big this week doing your overs, or would you rather take a smaller hit just so that you can exploit it greater come regular season?
I'd rather take the money right now. And here's why. The problem is that I directionally agree completely with Drew, but I don't like banging week 1 and week 2 overs. Historically, it's a lower scoring time in the NFL. I think the really clever way to get at this is look at these games of the year where there's totals up and bet overs in October and November. Now, I know you're tying up your money. By the way, can I borrow some money? I'm kind of all in with a whole bunch of bets already. But I think if we're back with what Drew said, I think if you played every game the first week of November over, I'm much more confident you're going to win than playing every game week 1 over.
It's going to be very interesting with this. Going to be very interesting to see.
Books were slow to react though last year, right on when it was all the unders coming in, right, Steve? That was pretty shocking last year when it felt like under every week we were seeing.
It's a great point about how it started last year. Also, remember there was and we hate to do this because we wait all year for football season, and so we feel terrible about making this comment. But remember early in the season last year, I don't know if it was weeks 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, but we actually came in here on a Monday. And it was kind of universally agreed, but I remember Drew was saying, oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. There was a couple Sundays where it actually felt like work watching those games because the games were so bad.
If I recall the Grand Salami where you bet the total points, it was like every week was going under, week after, even into week 5, 6, 7. And to give the bookmakers credit, the public loves betting over. So it's not unusual even the pros are betting unders. They're still
cleaning up.
Parlay liability. Think about every parlay is going to lose on totals from the public, and they're just making profits left and right.
Did you want to tell folks about this? This is a little off subject, but you want to talk about exploiting promotions. You had an experience.
And stacking promotions. I love stacking multiple promotions. Let me give an example. So I got back from Lake Tahoe. Love Lake Tahoe. So I went up there. I'm a 7-star at Caesars. So
the sky is so clear in Lake Tahoe.
Oh, the water's so clear. And so you get a retreat. And on the retreat, you get airfare up to $1,200. So, of course, the family flies business select, $1,199. They pick you up in a limo. It's all part of your annual retreat. So you limo. Who needs a limo in Vegas? Maybe Derek Stevens will send me one, but I doubt it. Maybe if I'm with GRP, with George, he would. But I limo from Reno to Tahoe. Now that is value. That's a good hour trip.
That's an hour drive. Wow.
Oh, at least, yeah. And you get a $500 food credit. So we ate at Hell's Kitchen and a Friday Station and a Sage Room overlooking the lake. Used the $500 up. But we're going there. All right, we're going to use a retreat. 10-time tier credit. I want to keep my 7-star. So 10-time tier credit. Normally, if you put through, $20,000, you get $2,000 on a video poker machine. You get $2,000 in tier credits. Now you get $20,000 in tier credits. Again, so you stack. You do everything to take advantage of promos like that, more than one at a time.
This is a personal question. I hope you don't mind that I'm asking in front of all these listeners. But does your wife ever say to you, Stevie, I assume she calls you Stevie sometimes. No, never. Does she say, Stevie, can we take a proper vacation where actual money comes out of your pocket as an expression of love to me? Like enough of this exploiting, the holes in the system so that we can enjoy our lives. I want a true expression of romance.
We went to Disney World in Orlando, and we went to Universal Studios in Orlando. So we had a mega super expensive vacation, nothing comped.
Is part of this, though, what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, hey, honey, let's have this great trip because for the next 4 months, I'm not going to be available.
The whale capper nailed that one.
He did nail that one.
He did nail that. He's on top of that.
But Stevie does have a bone to pick with the whale capper. We'll talk about that on the other side.
Oh.
It's a numbers game. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. First of all, I want to congratulate you. You went 2 entire segments without mentioning that you and I played tennis yesterday. We played 2 of what we call our sets up to 21. It was 17-17 in the first. I, of course, then coughed up the next 4 points, and Stevie beat me. And then
But the wind, bro.
Oh, it was really windy out there.
Wind. And you had to battle through the elements.
And Fezzik, because he's game theory, right? He got the good side on the second half of that. But then the second game, I had a match point on him, 20-19, and of course I completely gagged it, and he beat me 20.
Is there any money on these games?
No. But what a gracious man. He didn't bring it up.
Yeah, he didn't.
He's
still not.
He's about to be not gracious with some other people, though.
Before I do that, for all those who might be still not just young at heart, but young, I'm on the wrong side of 60, so every time I can play tennis with Gilly or my son, I appreciate it. And Gilly sees me like literally like I'm slumped against the fence when I'm done. It's like I'm spent.
I asked him afterwards, when is the next time we're playing? He goes, I have no idea.
I go on the DL like after each match. So if you're still able-bodied and you want an excuse, like you're in your 40s, it's like hey, time passes you by, and when you blink, and all of a sudden you're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. So take advantage.
Did Steve just say he's older than 60?
Yeah, he is. Look at that hair, full head of hair, older than 60.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Real quick before we get back to you, Steve, because I teased this earlier, MLB best record. You can actually bet this at DraftKings and other places. Dodgers are the short shot, plus 180. Yankees, plus 275. Orioles, plus 370. Phillies, plus 450. Everybody that you would think would be at the top. The Guardians are plus 750. By the way, if you look at the current MLB standings, and again, just about a quarter of the year. We're at the quarter pole, almost exactly at the quarter pole as the teams round the bend here. If you look at the standings right now, it's kind of a scrum at the top. And now my computer's not working, so I can give you the exact numbers on these. But if I'm betting this, Kelley, I go deeper down, and I go to the Arizona Diamondbacks at 45-1.
I fully endorse this one. And think about how good this is. If you could bet Arizona to win the division, and I imagine the number, Kelley, maybe you could look it up, is around 8-1, all right? If you told me right now, correlated parlay, you can or how likely is it if Arizona wins their division, they'll have the best record in baseball? I would literally say 50-50. I would
50-50. I agree.
Somewhere around that, because if they catch the Dodgers and they beat the Padres, they're going to be like 20. It's going to take like 24 games above 500, and I think that's going to be sufficient to beat the Yankees and beat the Orioles and beat. I don't think any of these teams are going to get. That's kind of the baseline of where they're going to get to like 96 wins.
Absolutely. Right now, it's Dodgers 71-49. Sorry, Kelley, were you about to just say this? I'm sorry.
8-1 to win the division. You were spot on with that, Steve. And then they have the 11th toughest remaining schedule.
11th toughest remaining schedule. But here's where it stands now. Dodgers 71-49, Guardians 71-49, Yankees and Orioles both. Oh, excuse me. Yankees 71-50, Orioles 70-50, Phillies 69-50. Those are the best teams. You know what the Diamondbacks are? 68-53. We have a quarter of the season left. 45-1. Give me that.
I like it. All
right. Sorry about that. All right. So Drew came on earlier, and we were talking about Jaden Daniels, and you were not happy about this conversation.
Yeah, well, here's what happens. When you're in the media, you're paid to have opinions on things, all right? So Drew has an excellent opinion. Jaden Daniels was styling, played very well. He's on top of it. We want to be looking to invest in Jaden Daniels. Fantastic. And I know you just invested in Jaden Daniels.
I did. There was a stray number here.
Yeah, so you grabbed 7-1.
7-1, Jaden Daniels, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Now, there's been a move at a lot of books, and they're as low as plus 450. And you asked Drew, is plus 450 okay? And this question gets asked throughout sports betting media everywhere. And universally, the answer is, it's more often than not. Oh, yeah, I'd still play that.
This drives you crazy.
Yeah, that answer is wrong. It is wrong. It could be right if you bet 150-1 and still 120-1.
He just took a pen and put an X.
It was just an X,
and nobody could see it on camera.
That's all you were missing.
Yeah. If you bet Goff MVP at 40-1, and is he still good at 28-1? Of course not. I mean, the bottom line is, if all of these other bets were that had such high positive expectations, the sports books would go broke. I mean, there's just the bottom line is that futures, my friend Brad Feinberg taught me this. Futures bets actually, I used to poo-poo them. Mm-hmm. They're actually wildly profitable if you're on top of it. But you've got to get in and get the 7-1 on the Jaden Daniels the day after or right after he plays really well. You can't be playing plus 450.
And the point you're trying to make is that even if Jaden Daniels goes on and midway through the season, let's say he becomes like this wildly big favorite and he ends up winning the Rookie of the Year, it is not the result that matters to what Steve is saying. It is the fact that if you exhibit that behavior, getting the lesser of the number over and over again, you will be negative EV over the course of everything.
Because the truth is, Jaden Daniels probably has somewhere between a 15 and a 20% chance of winning, and given that 7-1 is outstanding and 4.5-1 is insufficient.
Yeah, I tried not moving it by going a little under a dime, and it still ticked a little.
It's just, I don't. Do you use your player's card?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, stayed incognito. Also, Kelley and some Jeff Benson and his folks. They're watching you. They're paying attention.
I don't know. Moved a little bit.
Yeah. I caught a note from Steve the other day. I'm sorry. Were you finished?
No, I'm done. Yeah.
Conversation. On the Even Money podcast with Ross Tucker. Great podcast. Check it out. Steve Fezzik does it every week with Ross. Hey, Steve, what do you have the difference between Deshaun Watson and one Jameis Winston?
I have them right around 1 point.
Oh, I thought you were going to say absolutely nothing like you did on the podcast.
He backed off.
He backed off.
Okay,
he took some incoming on it.
Well, I actually looked at my numbers. So the bottom line is that they asked all the odds makers, and they had it at 3.1 points. And I was like, I'm not even sure that Watson's better, than Jameis Winston. But certainly not. The line's not moving a field goal if Watson's not playing. I know he was fantastic at Clemson and in his rookie year, but he is it's been years since I've seen him play good football, right?
Since we have you for another 3 minutes, is anybody else you want to say something negative about that you wanted to kill?
Yes, I do. Smartest guy in gambling, Rufus Peabody. Tremendous sports bettor, not in the sports betting Hall of Fame. Yep.
Not in the sports betting Hall of Fame.
But I was talking to Rufus, and he said, "Oh, I just played golf at Angel Park, which is a local's favorite, but it's like a value, not so nice." And I said, "But now, Rufus, you're a 7-star. Why didn't you just play Cascada or Rio Seco? You're comped. You get to play 2 free rounds. First half of the year and the second half of the year." And he had this sick look in his face, like he'd just eaten bad chicken. And he said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, it's right on the website." And it's like, "Oh, I didn't know." So we got to work on Rufus's comp wizardry. But you know what? No matter how smart you are, Kelley and I were talking, and I'm such an idiot. I completely missed something in terms of a promo that we're doing together, and I just feel like the dumbest man in America because of it. Yeah.
Hey, we learned after time one.
What did Stevie miss? What did he miss?
Just some fine print stuff.
Oh, okay. So even you can miss something.
But it's nothing we would have known ahead of time. It was nothing you could have known
but he still didn't get it till you just told him.
Yeah. So, the point is, and this is really, going back to my man here, think like a pro, Logan Fields, there's stuff that's obvious that nobody does. And then once you learn about it, you're like, why haven't I been doing this?
You just tried to buy it. It's out of stock at Amazon?
What's that? I tried to buy it. It's out of stock at Amazon.
Montesano has an extra copy. He's literally sending us an extra copy.
Ask Montesano if he has Beyond Counting by Grosjean. It's like it goes for like $1,000 now. It's like it tells you how to beat like the Big Six wheel and 3-card poker and like exploiting casino misdeals of things. It's fantastic.
Last thing, 30 seconds. DraftKings came out yesterday and they said, by the way, did you get that stray email from DraftKings too? They were sending out random emails to everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they completely had a glitch in their system,
which I definitely didn't text anybody about and should have. Glad you got the same thing. They sent out
an email to like every human being that's ever been had an account there, even for us VSiN with our contest.
How'd you
figure
that out?
Because I saw in my inbox that I had some weird DraftKings email like, "Hey, that Dead Heat you were involved in." I'm like, "What? I can't even bet at DraftKings. What are you talking about?" Yeah. And apparently they sent it to thousands. But they decided, so FanDuel's not doing it, so DraftKings is like, "Yeah, we decided upon further review, we're not going to do this."
So get this, after
3% thing.
After 50 years, so when you do a 3% surcharge, famously it's like laying minus 113.6. So don't think about the minus 100. Think about like if you're betting to win 100, you're being charged $10 a vig. That's been the case for 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years, and they wanted to raise it from $10 to $13.60. Shocker. That isn't going to work.
They're still going to try to weasel it into like same game parlays now, right? They should have done it quietly that way before.
Yes.
I'm sure they'll try that.